All right. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the first episode of The Junk Box. I am your host, Enigma, and this is my good friend and the co-host, Corny. We're going to be talking today about Cyberpunk, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And we're also planning on going in further to talk about uh, more just about unfinished games, stuff like that, since it's a rising topic time. Podcast time? That is correct. What is up, big man Bubs? We will obviously be talking to you guys as well. So if you guys have questions, things, concerns you want to talk about, you're welcome to join as well. Um, I also and Corny's aware of this too. We have synth waves below. So if you're curious on who's talking at that point and you haven't been around
Are you
to
sure
hear each
mine
of our
work? I don't
voice,
see mine.
yeah, here's
Oh
his
wait,
mic.
no they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully you guys can hear him when he's talking. Can you hear yourself when you're talking? I don't know
I
if you can.
have it unmuted, but I'm pretty sure I can hear myself.
Okay,
Yeah, I
cool.
can.
Cool. All right, cool. We can hear him. Awesome. He doesn't have a camera. We're working on it. So anyways, without further ado, I mean, where do we start with Cyberpunk? I mean,
I don't know, just a brief description
yeah.
of what it is.
Oh, I wasn't meaning that literally. I was just, figuratively talking, but okay. So Cyberpunk 2077 was a game that was it's been in development for 9 years. It was supposed to be released back in March? Is that initial release date?
I think so. It was in development since I think they teased it at E3 in 2012.
Looking it up
So
right
they've been
now.
working on it that long.
It was all right. So it's been delayed 3 times. It was first delayed in April or to April
Yeah, that's what it was.
2016. It then was furthered to September 17 and then November 19th, and then was the final postpone was December 10th. Is that not what
Yeah,
corny looks like? No, it's not.
I mean it's pretty close. I'm not gonna argue with that.
um,
How my
I
eyes look,
think
maybe.
I think mainly the thing that angered a lot of people and disappointed a lot of people, if I may, is the fact that after it being delayed 4 times, it still came out with so many issues and so many bugs that I think it really hurt the community a lot because a lot of people were okay. They weren't happy with delays, but they were okay with them, believing that in those delays they'd fix a lot of the errors that it may have when it was released, and instead
Yeah.
it still came out unfinished.
Well, I feel the people who didn't want it to be delayed are people who don't understand how to develop a game because it takes time and they just play them, so they have no conception of how hard it is to do things within a time frame like that, especially a very ambitious game like this that's like a decade in development. It takes a very long time to get to that level, and people who were like kind of complaining about delays were, or at least like the ones sending death threats. I'm sure people. I understand being upset about delays. When I heard it got delayed multiple times every time, I was like, damn, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But like they'll at least they'll get time to work on it. But yeah, it seems like seems after the third delay they were just like, no, we're not gonna delay it anymore. You have to, like, the people up top were like, you have to put it out this time.
Yeah. And I was reading an article. I sent it to Corny as well last night. It was from the New York Times. They did it after the release. In that article, and I'll pull it up here on stream as well. Actually, let me do
I didn't
that
read that.
first. You didn't read it?
I read the New York Times one. I
Oh,
didn't
okay, yeah,
know
yeah.
if I read the other
That's
one.
that's gonna be the one that I'm gonna pull up right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pulling this up. Big man Bub says releasing unfinished games is a fucking gross meta, and it sucks that the release now, patch later mentality is so prevalent. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't be like agree any more with that. I think that's a very direct statement, and I agree. Idiot gamers demanding a game before it's done and then complaining that it's not done. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the other
Like
problem,
that's the thing. I'm like, take as much time as you need. Like
right?
if this comes out when I'm dead and it's good, then maybe it'll be worth it. I don't know. Like just take your time. But obviously some people don't think that way, and if they delay it enough times, I think the probably the top brass, the investors were worried that they would lose interest if you just keep delaying it. And they want money because
They
that's what
do.
they want. I also
Yeah.
just want
So
to say right away that I'm a huge Product Red fan. Like
mm-hmm.
I love the Witcher series. I've played the first, the second, and the third like multiple times. I've played all of those. So I love CG Product Red and what they normally do. I was My feelings about how the game is right now is just more disappointed than anything.
So this is the post from Cyberpunk 2077. well, on the New York Times. In this article, and I highly recommend you guys check it out as well if you're interested. They're mainly talking about the potential millions of players and possible class action lawsuits that are happening with it. Um, I did not realize, I guess, when I was hearing initially when I was hearing about class action lawsuits, I was thinking that they were getting sued by like a producer. Apparently, the producer on Cyberpunk 2077, just so everybody's aware, is the executive of CD Projekt Red. Um, so in terms of this game, um, it's not a good effort by or not a good look to the CD Projekt Red company.
Oh.
And I feel like that's the best way to put it. And I want to stress that the blame for the game should be placed on the executive, and they underline that in this article extremely well. Um, because the thing is, and this is something that I can talk a lot about. I'm going to school as a game designer. I'm about ready to graduate. One of the biggest things that happens with game design currently is scoping a game, and this game had a massive scope right out of the get go. And this article talks about that as well. The fact that the scope was huge and investors were concerned about it, but the executives were like, no, we'll get it done. Like, shouldn't be a problem to include all these things that they initially talked about 9 years ago. Like, all this stuff they had talked about. However, the executives in their minds, though they were pushing for this, apparently didn't really know what they wanted actually in the game and stuff. They were basing it off of a board game. Um, from I think what was the board game based out of?
Well, it's
Yeah,
just called Cyberpunk.
was it? I was
Yeah,
wondering if the
tabletop.
year was put in here, but it wasn't.
Oh, it's like in the like it came out in the 80s.
Yeah, I was okay. So it was based off of that, and that's all they were kind of going off of. They weren't going off of anything more than that. They had some ideas of what they wanted to look like, and they had a giant scope, but they didn't know how to narrow everything down and lead their group of people. So one of the biggest things from CD Projekt Red workers was they were saying that they were being, and it's right here, I can see it actually right here. CD Projekt workers said there was chaos behind the scenes, office rumors spreading on Discord servers, misleading deadlines set by managers, and infighting among the company's top brass, and the incompetence and poor planning leading to unnecessary crunch in terms of overworking employees to produce games under a tight deadline. Longtime engineering staff left the company as a result of overwork. So their programmers, which were the people that they desperately needed, and it shows because of all the bugs that they had, were leaving because of the unnecessary crunch time and poor planning of the executive people.
This just sounds like every other game development
It
company.
really
But like
does.
it is different though because the CD Projekt Red had built such goodwill with like I feel like just everybody is like, hey, when we release a game, it's actually gonna be good. You
Exactly.
like you can look at the first Witcher, it's rough because it was their first game and they were like an independent company making this very complicated game. But other than that, they put out DLC that has more content than some whole games have for The Witcher. They built a lot of goodwill, and then it seems like the weirdest move to release the game so unfinished that Sony pulls it from their stores because it can't
Mm-hmm.
function on a PS4, which is the
Exactly.
console it's meant to run on. It's meant to run on last generation hardware because it started development in last generation hardware. You
Exactly.
know,
And that
so
was one
it's
of the
it's
things
it's
they were
just weird.
stressing.
But no, I'd say the whole like that thing where it's like it's chaos behind the scenes. I feel like that's most places, but it is strange, a little strange hearing it from CD Projekt Red because it's just yeah, it's just I had a different I guess opinion of what I thought was going on behind the scenes there, but it seems like it's like all the rest.
CD Projekt Red is also saying that they said Friday, whenever this article was written, that it would refund disappointed players out of their own pocket if necessary. So they are trying to come back from this, but
Yeah, but that's just
it's
trying to
really
save
tight. Like
face.
it's just trying to save stuff. Like at this
And I
point,
heard it's hard to actually get a refund too. Like since there's so many of
really.
them, it's
I
hard to
heard if
get
you're
like an
going through
actual one.
Microsoft or if you're going through PlayStation Store, it's been wicked easy. Those are the only two
Yeah,
that
but
I've heard really
I
good
guess
things about.
maybe like PC it might be harder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, there was one other thing that I wanted to underline in this article that was really interesting. I think it was it was when you were okay, so you were just talking about last gen consoles.
Hmm.
Biggest thing with last gen consoles, usually, and I think it was in here, wasn't it? Yeah, smoke and mirrors in the marketing front, which I think is the best way to put this. Apparently CD Projekt Red during all the delays was like concealing their console one, like their last gen console playtests.
Early release for
So yeah,
copies,
their
I
early
think. Yeah.
release for like people to like review and stuff like that for marketing. Um, Many people were asked on the CD Projekt Red to give out like an Xbox version or PS4 version, and all they kept on showing was new generation sendouts or a PC setup. And so the reviewers' copies were never PS4 or Xbox One. They were only next gen and PC, and they were like that until the very release date, like a day before the release date in December, was when they got to playtest them. And at that point, every reviewer's point of view was different than what they had actually written for a review. Yeah, they only showed playtesting on new gen. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, the reviewers' copies. I think it's in here.
Yeah. So basically,
So
review
yeah, you can
copies
talk
are
about it.
where, like, major, outlets that do reviews, game developers or publishers will send copies of their games early so they can, get their hands on it and then have a review for when the day it comes out. So hopefully it boosts sales. But when you have a bad game, you tend to like be like, ah, you know what? I'm just gonna hold off on letting you play this until it comes out, so people who pre-ordered it won't cancel it and people will buy it on the day. So that's kind of what seems like was happening in this article, where I think it was like their head of marketing said that they're withholding like the last gen copies of it.
Like
But yeah,
Keanu
it's just
Reeves.
it's whenever that happens, historically, you can look back and see games that were like disasters. They always withhold review copies.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very big trend. So that should have been a red flag immediately, that something was wrong on those consoles.
It was kind of weird though that no one was really like talking about it that much. You would have expected the review companies to be really talking about it,
Again,
but
I
oh,
feel
they
like it's
did.
because of the representation, like
The CD Project Red
Yeah,
reputation.
that we were
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, cool, yeah, they're gonna put out a good game like they have
Mm-hmm.
before. Well, why worry about it?" Like, that's what I thought. I'm like, if they're gonna release it on December 10th, I know that's really soon, and all of a sudden, if it's done, if it releases then it'll be done, and I was completely wrong. Like, I'm like, if they're releasing it on the 10th, it has to be done. Like, they wouldn't release it unfinished, and I was very wrong about that.
Exactly. I agree. And even in this article again, they say Cyberpunk was glitchy and crashed frequently on even next gen consoles like the PS5 and the new Xbox. So
Yeah. I'm sure
apparently
those were
it's not
just as
doing
unstable.
any better. But
Yeah.
it says even worse, the game barely ran on older consoles like PS4 and Xbox One, which we will go into further. We have clips from those, and I also have a talk about the
Oh, you
PlayStation
do?
and why it got pulled off of PlayStation Store.
Okay.
Um, Also, typically game developers, and this is what I was talking about reviewers, typically game developers send early copies of new titles to reviewers with ample lead time. But CD Projekt Red kept Cyberpunk 2077 under wraps for as long as it could. The company only shared advanced copies of the PC version with gaming publications and news organizations, previewing the best possible version of Cyberpunk to reviewers who would post their ratings online just days before the game's release. Meaning that they were basically trying to bait out good reviews, in a way, if you think about it, right? Because like what they were trying to do is hold back stuff. And also the reviewer for New York Times contacted Stephanie Bayer, who was a spokeswoman at CD Projekt Red. Um, they had some correspondence about getting the a copied review of even the newer consoles, and they said that they would be holding off on sending out our console codes until close to launch to send them out securely.
I don't
Securely.
know, what is that supposed to mean? Like it's gonna get cracked before the
I
game comes
guess
out
I
or
guess
something?
it could get cracked on console, but not on the PC versions that were getting sent out early. Like I don't know, you know. Like
Yeah.
is that really I feel like the PC version has a higher chance of getting cracked, you know.
Yeah.
Console gamers are in shambles, PC chads are chilling. Kind of. We have clips too of the PC chads
I can
having
also
issues.
just
It's
say I've played a lot on PC, and that they're like I'm sure the performance issues aren't as bad on console, but there is still a lot of issues like that just fundamental to the game that just are like pretty appalling, honestly. Other than that, I'm not just a general. I don't hate the game. I'm actually enjoying it a little bit, but my expectations were not met as far as the quality goes. It's the thing.
I agree. I
Yeah.
definitely can agree with that. Kurgas says, I see it as a mistake from fans as much as the executives. Not done with it, but my major is in programming. I know when somebody picks up a code which somebody else is working on, he needs to not only review it but also change it since there's multiple codes which can lead to the same result, and a lot of times you can't work with a specific code despite knowing the language. You can look at it as speaking the same language with different accents. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things, and we talked about this before, was their engineers, which are their programmers, were leaving because of fights that were happening, or the unnecessary crunch time, as they called it. They were leaving, so they were bringing in other people, which is possibly why we had so many delays and possibly why it looks so bad. I mean, with programmers leaving and coming and leaving and coming, like, it's so bad for a game to have that happen. I mean, I've seen it happen in games just in my degree. Like, someone dips out and all of a sudden someone else, whether they know programming or not, has to come in and fill it, and it never becomes the same because you have to now look over someone else's code, and you're practically changing it to fit your style, because everybody, and you said this, Kurgas, everybody has their own coding style. And I feel like most of the bugs you're seeing, performance wise, glitches, stuff like that, that's programming. That's not the art side. I mean, and I'm not talking, I mean, the art direction, I mean, it looks visually
It's one of the
good.
best parts of it.
Yeah, I
Is
would
art
say
direction.
that's probably the best. So maybe the strength of it was the art, but you can clearly see where they fell apart in coding. For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the
Yeah.
fall point of this.
I don't know enough about coding, but like even just today, I was playing a little bit, and there was a sequence I replayed multiple times to see what doing different things in the dialogue trees would have an effect on. And this one main character, she does the same movement every time. She's like, "Follow me," and then you have to follow her like to a railing where she talks to you.
Hmm.
And every time that would happen, she would try to walk through the door, do a U-turn because she couldn't fit or something. Like her pathing is messed up, and then she'd do a loop and then phase half through the doorway and like half through the like wall, and then just like walk through it. And it would happen every single time. So it's just like hard coded into her pathing right there that she walks through the wall. And I'm
That
like,
reminds
God,
me.
like they really couldn't have fixed this. Like again, it's just more time was needed, obviously, but it's like a lot of stuff like that that just adds up. It's a lot of little things, in my opinion, that really start to degrade the experience. It's not like there's a huge thing besides the performance issues on last gen. I'm having fine performance now on PC after I did an upgrade, but my like still, yeah.
And
But I don't.
honestly, the upgrade to his PC, though, was like very needed, was very minute in comparison to like you shouldn't really have to upgrade that excessively in order to play a video game.
No, no, no. That just was it's just my CPU was just old, so
Okay, so I
that's
want to
part
get
of
to
it.
Kurgas's comments and Big Man Bubs, but we are gonna start doing, yeah, this is the T pose clip. I do have some clips to show. To make it easy to explain, one programmer comes in and works with red pen but leaves, and his replacement can only work with blue ink pens. Hence, the new programmer had to make many changes to be able to work on it. Exactly. The executives put so much pressure that programmers had to leave, causing the game to delay. Fans to get upset because of so many delays. So executives pushed the game to being released even though, as we are talking about, it was unfinished. And yes, this is
Yeah.
a very
I
common
wonder.
clip from I believe this is actually on the PS4, but as far as I know, it happens across all consoles and
I've seen
PC.
people T-pose, yeah. I mean,
Um,
it happens on PC, so
this is the player character on a motorcycle,
yeah.
and all of a sudden he T poses and his pants come off.
I had seen that one.
like,
Yeah, like sometimes when you change clothing, your dick will just hang out from your pants. I haven't had that happen, but I've seen that.
I just
That's
I
funny.
don't
I
I
have never
just
seen that
don't
one.
know what to say about that, you know. Like I think that just does it justice. This is your player character, just being on a motorcycle, just driving out, and all of a sudden the pants fall down. I mean, the comments are even better. You know, what I mean, how did the cops not come from you? Just like the
If the
man.
cops come from you, they just spawn right in front of you anyways. So, you know.
Oh, there's even okay. I paused this perfectly. I'm gonna zoom this in. There's even a point where he's back down and his head is still floating. Like his head is here.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff. Like when you look in the mirror and you're wearing any sort of hat, your character doesn't look like they're wearing a hat. They're just bald. Like nothing. That's a thing that happens on everything version of the game. I think is that if you look in the mirror and you're wearing any sort of headwear, your character is bald instead.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
I think I did hear about stuff like that though. Like all of a sudden I was just like,
There's so many little things. Like as we're talking about it, I'll start to remember more and more probably, but there's a lot of little stuff that builds up.
yeah, I'm just pulling up a crap ton of clips right now. So you give me one.
Yeah, I wonder how much the gamer pressure actually made them like release it earlier. Like if people complaining about it not being released actually influenced them significantly to release it earlier.
I feel
'Cause
like
I
it,
don't.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to think about that, right? Because I mean, like,
I think it's kind
it
of
has the
impossible to
potential.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely has the potential for that to kind of happen. I do have some more clips, some more photos, so we're gonna be showing those off right now. Just like in real life? Oh, absolutely, dude. I'm always driving down the street and just like I'd go
On your
T-pose on my
motorcycle.
motorcycle and my pants fall down.
Oh
Like,
yeah, this one you showed me looks awful.
yeah, so this is a new something that happened right away. I was watching Co Carnage play it. He's a streamer here on Twitch. He hadn't done the Delamain quest yet, and because he wasn't going to go to these cars, Delamain was glitching into every single call he had with every single character. His head would just be there floating, always in the same spot, but it would cause a whole glitch to occur on the actual video call with the other person. It was
Because
really bad.
what I think is happening there is that his actual model is now in that scene with
Mm-hmm.
that character, and it's really messing with the models. Is what's
Exactly.
happening there.
I think it just never got deleted. I think there's like a separate scene that's being called right here, and yeah, I agree. I think it's just that he's just there permanently.
Yeah, another thing that just I found that happens quite a bit is that people talk over each other,
Mm-hmm.
like in the middle of a cut, like not a cutscene, but like a middle of a story moment. Like two characters, well, it's usually Johnny Silverhand because he has something to say while the characters are saying stuff, and he'll just like talk over whatever they're saying, and I'm like, I didn't hear either of you because you both talked at the same time. Like I was playing a mission today where somebody was like plugged in. He was doing some like hacking and stuff, and then his like brain starts to fry, and then he's like, quickly, like Johnny, the guy says something while he's being fried, and then Johnny says something, and he says it all at once, and he wanted me to help him, and I didn't know, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like the guy's just like having a seizure in this chair. I didn't know what to do because the dialogue was like overlapped each other. So it's just like another small thing. Like again, none of this is. I feel like a lot of the problems we've talked about so far are not like, oh, this game's unplayable. It's a lot of like small things that just kind of rip you out of the moment. Because
Mm-hmm.
in a game like this, I really try to get invested in the story and the characters and kind of like the atmosphere. But then when you're seeing somebody like T pose across the street, it's hard to take in like the cyberpunk scenic view like of Night City.
Do you think that this release is the perfect excuse to not release GTA 6? We've been begging for the game for years, but if it's full of bugs, do you think the amount of time is warranted?
I say to work on it until it's finished.
Yeah, I
I
say.
don't even think they are they even making a GTA 6. I feel like they're making just as much money just with GTA
I
5
mean,
like right
GTA
now.
5 still getting updates.
I know it's crazy. I'm sure they make so much money off of that.
GTA 6 is in development according to Google.
Okay. I mean, Rockstar they released, Red Dead. That wasn't too buggy. I
Yeah,
don't
it wasn't
remember
too
any
bad.
bugs on that. That was like honestly, I was thinking that. I wanted Cyberpunk to be more like Red Dead. Like I feel like Red Dead was really solid.
I am trying to find. There was a clip that because we had talked previously about what uh how you were saying that some of the things that you were seeing they were just like so structured in the way that they moved and stuff. There's a
Mhm.
clip on Reddit that I saw earlier last night of like someone throwing a grenade on a bridge, and simultaneously all the people, there's like 50 cars on this bridge, all of them opened up the door at the exact same time and walked out and took cover, like simultaneously. It
Must be
was
funny looking.
so funny. I just gotta see if I can find it. Actually, while I do that here, I have another clip to show. This is one that I also thought was pretty funny. This is one off of TikTok. You guys have probably seen this person before.
He's an internet guy.
He is the internet guy. I apologize for the quality. It is getting encoded, then encoded. So and I just dude like I just I can't get over something like that because like that is exactly what we're talking about when we're saying it breaks the immersion. Like immediately, you cannot tell me like something as simple as that like instantly breaks you out of the moment. You're like, really? Like he just stands up and runs? Like I mean, granted, do you really walk around punching cripples? But like you can in this game, but like they stand up and run away from you. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, you know?
I don't.
Uh,
I just want to say I don't remember when I played Red Dead 2. I don't remember there being like a lot of bugs. At least not like this. Like nothing even close to the extent that this game is
I
at.
think
But
Red
there
Dead
probably was a
2.
couple.
Yeah, I did see posts about Red Dead 2 having many bugs. I wouldn't say it was as unfinished though as Cyberpunk really is right now. I
Yeah.
would definitely say that.
It's not
But
even
by
like
no
I.
means, I mean
Yeah.
one of the things we did want to touch on and we will continue to touch on is there is so many games that do this though that they like come out unfinished. So it's not just Cyberpunk that is like taking the brunt of this, but Cyberpunk was really the biggest letdown by
Oh, you're saying
sure.
online had mostly bugs. I remember the online really not working well. That is
Oh,
okay.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Okay.
Okay.
I got you.
Yeah, yeah. I have one more. This one I believe is the one where he's running down the street. Oops. You're right. I forgot I tabbed out. Okay. So he's walking down the street. There's a female, and he turns around and now it's just a dude. Like just because it was out of the frame, and I'm pretty certain right here there's another one of the same model. They look very similar. I can't really tell because of the grain, but like
They probably are the same.
like knowing Cyberpunk, it's literally just like you turned around and there's two like of the same people.
Yeah.
Like,
But I just want to. By the way, the way the police are handled in Cyberpunk is so unacceptable
oh,
because the way that they work right now is that you do a crime and they spawn in right next to you.
mhm.
Like no matter where you are, you could be inside, outside, you could be on top of like a skyscraper, and they'd spawn in and shoot you. And it's baffling to me how they can were so lazy not to even like have cops and cop cars drive up and shoot you. GTA has been doing that for like how long?
I mean
Like
forever.
2 decades they've been doing that? Why can't they it's so like I don't know why they thought it was okay to just like have them spawn in. Like I was literally I could pull up the game right now, drive into the middle of the desert, shoot somebody, and then have the police spawn all around me. Like within view, like not like they even like come in where I'm not looking. It's just like in front of me. It's ridiculous, and I'm
Oh my
like,
god.
this isn't even a bug. This is just like they didn't even have time to finish this. They're just like leave this till the end because we got to focus on the story, and they just never got around to doing it.
Hang on, I'm gonna see if I can pull up this clip that I'm talking about too, because I really wanted to do that. Uh, uh,
I just remember No Man's Sky being very empty, like nothing to do.
Anthem was another one that I wanted to bring up. Anthem had a horrible collapse
Was
after
it
the
buggy?
poor release.
I never even played it, so
Anthem
I'm
was
not
super
sure.
bugged, but they also it falls upon that whole idea again of executives wanting to build this game, but giving no like path for their
Isn't that
artists
an
or
EA
anything like
game
that.
too?
That was an EA game.
EA is the king of doing that shit.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Battlefront 2 is where everybody got really upset about it. There was
Was
that.
it
It was it
really?
being completely bugged, and then also the microtransactions. Like
I'm
people
not familiar.
boycotted that game, and it actually worked.
Did they actually fix it though? Like,
They
was it
turned them
like
all
kind of?
off, and then they fixed the game. I think.
Oh,
I'm not.
okay.
I'm not sure if they fixed it, but I know they turned all the microtransactions off because people were boycotting the game. Because literally, like the upgrades you would get from the transactions were so game impactful that it was just like pay to win. Like you couldn't play Darth Vader unless you played for 40 hours or unless you just bought him.
Whoa, really? Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it was
incredible.
really bad. And then I remember people being very, very upset about it. And it was the first time everybody was like, "No, we're not gonna put up with this." And EA, like, they started to backpedal real hard. And then at every point after that, EA is like, "There's no microtransactions in our game." And every time they would announce the game, they'd be like, "There's no like microtransactions. Everything's free."
Oh my
It was a big 180 on their part. But yeah, that game was another disaster one.
I can't
Uh,
exactly. I don't know. I mean, I have to give up on the bridge clip. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find it. But
hmm.
there's definitely plenty of clips. I mean, you almost don't even have to like go very far to find them either. Like,
I want to talk about stuff I like a little bit. I feel
Yeah,
like we've
let's
been
talk
shitting
about the
on it a
good.
lot.
Yeah. Let's definitely talk about good. I definitely think visually, and we already said this, but visually it's very impressive. When
Yes,
you
so
can get it to run, it's very impressive.
when you are like standing or you have like a view in front of you, like, or you're just like kind of taking the atmosphere, is when this game is at its best, like 100%. Because that's obviously where they put a lot of time into it. Like, there's so many spots that are just so unique. Like, even like I was driving on a motorcycle through a dump that was so big it could be an entire city. It was just a garbage landfill, like with mountains of garbage. And I'm like, wow, even this is like kind of, like artistically beautiful in a way. And then there's like you can see Night City in this giant metropolis, and they got these giant like cargo carriers that are like little drones carrying giant cargo containers or buses flying through the air. It is like so cool when that is just like working and there's nothing else happening. But other like once something happens where it takes you out of it, like that's when it sucks. Like,
Mm,
oh, I don't know. But other than that, I think the atmosphere is one of the greatest parts of it, and also the story is really good. Like the more I'm
yeah.
getting into it, this I feel like it's a little like some things are a little like kind of cliche when characters say some things or like the attitudes they have. But what was I gonna say as an alternative? There's a lot of morally gray choices where that's what I love is that there's no like clear right or wrong choice in certain points. Like the section I replayed today,
Hmm.
it's like no matter what choice you pick, it's kind of like not the one you want. Like ideally, you want it to work out in this way perfectly, but it never does. And you have to pick like the lesser of two evils, or at least what you think is the lesser of two evils, or what your character interprets as that. So that's like really cool in developing relationships with like major characters. I wouldn't say there's like too much side character stuff, at least not very minor side characters. Because it's like most of the major characters that you meet in the main story, and then they have side quests. So then you
Gotcha.
develop the relationship by that. Uh, but like a lot of them are really well done. Like even some that are just side quests. Like there's this guy River. He's like a kind of like a he's an ex cop, and he's trying to find somebody who has been like missing.
Hmm.
I think it's like his like sister's son or something, and he's looking for him. You help him out, and he's has like a really cool developed character, and you get a really cool relationship with him. So it's really when it's I think Cyberpunk's when it's strongest is when it sits you down, it locks you in place, and it makes you talk to the people.
Hmm. I
Like
agree.
is
When you're
like when
actually like
that
doing the
that's when
stuff
it's the
that's
best.
important to the quest and like the
Yeah.
story and it puts you in that, I agree. I definitely like
Mm.
when I've seen gameplay and stuff like that, and I watched co-play from beginning to end through all the bugs and everything, and the story seemed really impressive to me. As you guys know, on my stream we haven't played it yet, and I've been holding off on it um until I feel like it's gonna be ready. But that's my personal like choice to do that. Um, in doing so, I have watched a lot of content on it to make sure that I was prepared for this podcast. Um, and I would definitely say, like I said, visually, the story, anything that was story related seemed really good. I very rarely saw Co getting into a lot of bugs that were main story related. It was usually the open worldness of the game that really caused it. Especially the intro seemed really good. Not a huge amount of bugs. There was still occasional ones, but it was definitely better when it was locked. It seemed like as soon as he opened up the world after the prologue, it was like, boom, there's all the bugs happening all at once. If that
Yeah, I
makes
think it
sense.
depends because a lot of the opening is a lot of you don't really fight that much. It's a lot of just
Mm-hmm.
like talking. There's
Mm-hmm.
only like one section that I can think of that's like a big fight. But other than that, it's a lot of like you sit in a car. At least there's three different openings, so I only played one of them so far. But the one I had, it was a lot of like sitting in cars and talking to people because
Okay.
I chose Street Kid.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I saw the Corpo.
yeah, I wanna go back and try the different ones. I'm not sure how much. I don't think they have a big impact besides dialogue options.
Mm-hmm.
From what I can tell. But it does seem like in the story, like, you can have some impact because I was talking to our friend Tommy, and there's this character at the beginning. He's like, "Is this person dead for you?" And I'm like, "No, this person invited me to a hotel and had sex with me." And because of like stuff I did. Like she was still alive, and
Mm-hmm.
she in his game she was just dead. And I haven't
Okay.
encountered her again, but it was just like kind of like that one of those things like, oh, like whatever he thought like he did got her killed,
Hmm.
opposed to what I did. So it's
Interesting.
interesting, and it definitely seems like there's some choice, and
Yeah.
mostly it seems like that your choices impact your relationships with other characters the most. I don't know about like world changing like choices. I'm not sure I've encountered any like that.
Okay.
But it's a lot of like relationship based stuff. Like where you say the wrong thing that like there's a character I was trying to make some moves on, and at first she was like, I don't know," and then but then I kind of like adjusted to that, and then she's ended up liking me. Uh, and I feel like if I was like really hardcore like pursuing her, it probably would have drove her away. So it's like it's an interesting like choice that you kind of get sometimes.
You got like
And
super
I feel like a
suave.
lot of those characters that I do like want to spend a lot of time on and do end up spending time on are like the best characters out of the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And how do you see? I haven't really played this portion of it. I've seen again gameplay, but how do you feel about the gunplay in it? Does it feel rewarding or is
That's
it kind of lackluster? I know the
it's
AI is really bad, but in terms of
yeah.
like actually shooting
I
someone, does
mean,
it feel
I guess
good
the
or
AI
is it
could
like
be worse, honestly. Sometimes they will try to like rush you and flank you and stuff.
hmm,
The like the I think the way I built my character, uh, it's just probably not the most fun way to play. Like now realizing after getting into the game, I kind of built my character to be a quick hacker.
hmm,
So I'll like hack into people and I'll be like, okay, you have radiation poisoning that spreads to like 5 other people. You kill yourself. Uh, all your cyber optics go off and you can't see anything for a certain amount of time. Like that's the way I'm playing my character.
hmm,
But as a result, it's mostly like I'll hack people and then I'll just headshot them with a pistol.
okay,
Uh, and that's about it. Like, I feel like if I had gone like maybe a cool like stealth melee person, that would have been a little more fun, or even just like kind of heavier weapons. I just stuck to pistols. I've just been using a revolver the entire game. I'm
okay,
also very squishy because I haven't leveled up into the like body attribute, so I die very easily. So I have to like hide behind cover and like hack everybody.
hmm.
But that hasn't. That's not why I play the game at all.
No,
I
I
guess
mean
is a
most
good way
people
to
play
put
it
it.
for like the
Yeah.
story and the questing and the open worldness of
So
it.
I would also I like that be I said that I would want to play like a stealthy melee
Hmm,
character, but the reason I didn't do that is because the stealth breaks. People see you through
hmm.
walls sometimes. That's another bug.
I was hearing that.
Sucks. I hate doing stealth because it just is messed up. And the melee feels awful. Like I tried it once and I'm like I'm not even touching this until maybe they fix it. Because it felt like really like if your melee feels worse than like Skyrim, like then I'm not gonna play it. you know, so I don't know.
Like, ugh,
I don't
ah.
know. I wish I had tried. It's just like it feels like you're hidden with a like a foam sword. I play stealth and I enjoyed the game a
Kurgus,
lot.
yeah, Kurgus says he
Yeah,
played
I don't
stuff
know.
and
I keep
enjoyed the game
coming
a
into
lot.
bugs where they see me like through walls and stuff, and it's really annoying. I don't know.
So Kurgus,
I'd have to go back and play, but
you haven't run into any bugs where you felt like they saw you through a wall or anything like that? Just out of curiosity.
I do want to play that way. I will go back and give that a try. I
Hmm.
just initially trying it out, I was like, I don't think I want to do this. I want to try like hacking people and stuff.
Yeah, and one of
But
the big questions that
it's
I
okay, I
personally,
guess is what I gotta say. Is my experience so far has been meh.
mm,
Like I don't play the game just for that. I really not at all. Okay.
mm. Again, bugs are, from what I understand, bugs are, you know, flip a coin. You know, some people get all of them, some people get some of them, some people get none of them. We have a friend who swears the game has never bugged out on him at all, and or maybe a couple times. Has Tommy said that it's bugged out on him? Whenever I've
I don't
talked to
know.
him, he said it's been great
Yeah.
and he hasn't had
Yeah.
any issues. So from what I understand, people that I've talked to, some people are like, "Oh, it's run great," and like have had no issues. Other people have said that they've had tons of issues and they can't do anything. So stealth has been really fun for me. Hey, absolutely, then more power to you. And I think that brings it to the next thing that I was gonna say, which is really like, ultimately, one of the main questions I wanted to answer in this episode of the podcast for sure was like, should you, if you haven't already, buy the game now and play it, or should you wait? And I think for me personally, the best way I could say this is I think it depends on you as a person. If you're the type of person that's like, I'm okay if it bugs out a little bit, I really just want to experience the game now, then by all means, go ahead, buy the game, play it. You know, hopefully you get the least amount of bugs possible, and I hope you enjoy the game a lot. But if you're okay with waiting, I personally, and I'm doing this like I said already, I personally recommend waiting, seeing how they, update it, see how they come back from this, because I guarantee whether or not you buy it now or if you buy it later, if you wait till 2 months, even maybe 3 months, you're gonna have a way better experience playing than right now, or even when it was released. Personally, I bet you even by now it's a little bit better.
From my
I'm
experience,
sure
it
it's
seems
not
even
great,
a little
but
bit better right now.
yeah.
I would say, yeah.
From what I understand, they've been updating pretty frequently. I've definitely been getting emails about that. I get these little cards from Cyberpunk since I like pre-ordered the game or something, and they come up and they're like, "Hey, by the way, we updated the game. These are the things we changed, and hopefully there's less bugs. Yada yada yada. We're really sorry for the poor release." So, like they're trying to come back. They definitely are trying, and hopefully it's a little better. I bought it for PS4 with the hope I can upgrade to PS5, which is working way better. Okay, but I don't know how. Don't know now that it got removed.
Yeah,
Ah,
I think
that's true.
once it's in a better state, they'll put it back on. But who knows how long that's gonna take?
Hmm. I did want to talk. I did bring up a clip so we can watch this. This was kind of what I think Corny was talking about earlier. Um, this is spaghetti arms.
Oh, I captured this on my phone earlier today. But if you have a better looking clip
Yeah,
than just
this
like
one,
that,
this one's with him running too, and it's really funny. So he's
yeah,
got a shadow, and I mean,
yeah, that's basically it.
it at the end is so funny. It's just like,
Yeah,
they're
mine was like
so
my. I was
spaghetti.
holding a pistol in mine, and my elbows just like defied gravity, and we're like going all over the
I
place.
think
Is
yeah,
what has
like doesn't
happening
that
with me.
happen at the beginning? I don't know if this. Oh no, it's when he puts away the pistol. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw he had the one earlier today, and I was like, oh my god, like it was so funny. Like he's just like, you got to see this clip, and it was he was just playing it today, so it was a glitch that he had immediately today, and it was literally basically that. It was with him with a pistol though, but the guy was like, his arms are like floating close to his head, but his pistol, like he should be holding it like this, but his arms are like out,
It's
like
yeah.
just like way up in the air and out, and it looked really weird. It was basically this, but it basically looked like the shadow that this was portraying, but on his screen he was holding a pistol, so it didn't match at
Another
all.
another thing I encountered today is I don't even necessarily a bug. I went to go do a quest, and I go into this place. It's like a restaurant. They don't want you to shoot, so they make you put your gun away.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay. I go to the person. I'm meeting to go pick up this thing. They're like, hey, pay me my money. And I'm like, no, I think I'm good. Uh, and then I go like, kind of go farther away and I go to scan her. And me scanning her, she does not like that. She's like, fuck you, die. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just kill you. I don't really care. But then she's shooting me, and I can't take up my gun because I'm in this restaurant. And then in the
Oh, what the
object,
fuck?
like the quest objective is like kill this person. I'm like, I can't. You're not letting me put out my gun. So I had to run outside, stand at the front door, and shoot into the restaurant to kill her.
Huh?
And I think that's just like an oversight because, like, I guess, I don't know whether or not they had programmed it in for me to take out my gun at that point. It just didn't happen. I think it didn't happen multiple times because I reloaded. But yeah, it was like another thing, and another small thing where it's like, oh my god, this is annoying. Like having to deal with this.
Yeah, because then you're trying to figure out like why, and it completely breaks you out of the game world. Like
Yeah.
the whole point of video games is you're supposed to be like immersed into whatever you're playing. Like the best case scenario you have is those games where you're sitting there playing and you almost like lose yourself in your character. Like you forget. So all of a sudden something actually happens that like it scares you or whatever, and you actually like jump. Like that's the immersion that we're all looking for, and this game does a great job with the graphics and the story and all that to try and get you enveloped into it. But then all of a sudden, you have so many glitches and bugs that it pulls you right back out, and that's the problem. With each bug, you're almost being taken back. And again, we're like we're like we are talking about all these bugs. We talked about the good stuff, and I want to stress again that you know, despite what we're saying, we don't want to put this on the people that worked on the game specifically at CD Projekt Red were really looking at this is definitely the executives that made this game unfinished the way it is. It was their lack of guidance and portrayal of the game that led to the actual workers having a misguided effort on this game, and that's why it's so unfinished right now. So I do want to stress that because we can't be sitting here going, oh, Cyberpunk is like CD Project Red's like worst case thing, like CD Project Red's like awful, like they're such a bad company. I would say their executives were just not
They're
on
greedy.
point at all,
Yeah.
and it was their workers that were doing what actually needed to be done, but they just didn't have the guidance to do it.
Yeah. I guess you were talking about earlier about whether you should buy this game. I say if
Yeah,
you haven't played The Witcher 3, go play that instead and wait for this game to be done.
yeah.
Like if you want to play a story-based RPG made by CD Projekt Red, like go play The Witcher 3 if you haven't already. That's what I say. If you have already, then play it again because it's that good.
You'll
But at
definitely
the
have
same
more
time,
enjoyment doing
if you
that.
love the what?
I said you'll definitely have more enjoyment and less bugs doing that than if
I
you just
mean,
buy.
that game was a little buggy when it came out. Like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
Roach would end up on top of a roof if you called him.
Yeah.
Like
I did hear
or
about, and they actually, in talking about Cyberpunk 2077, a lot of people did bring up some of the bugs that happened in the early
but
releases of The
again,
Witcher,
not nearly as
but
bad.
yeah, not
Not
nearly
even
as bad.
close. Like even in that one, like in The Witcher 3, they ended up like kind of taking it in stride. Like there's a Gwent card that's like Roach, and it's like her up on a roof, and like Geralt like looking up at her, like what the hell? Like they could, because it was like small enough to and kind of like silly to a point where people didn't care,
Hmm.
because the rest of the game was so good, it was like it just became a joke. But now there's so many bugs that the game is a joke.
Apparently, and I haven't seen a lot of this for whatever reason. People aren't like in playthroughs that these streamers have. There's not a lot of people like showing off carjacking, but apparently it's a 50-50 chance on according to Reddit posts of
You need to
your
have a
car
certain.
flying
Oh
when you
really?
go to open up when you go to carjack someone. This can happen.
Damn. Never
and
seen
now
that
and now that
happen.
car is completely lodged up above the street on a building. Like I apparently from what I've seen there's over like 240 comments on this, so and at least half of them are people saying that that's happened to them before. I'm just mainly looking at Games Radar right now, and this is where I'm finding all these clips, so if you guys want to check them out and actually look into them yourself, you definitely can. um this was one that I was looking at too earlier, which was if you park your car, sometimes NPCs will walk up and think it's a soda machine. Like now he's banging on your car. There's two of them actually. They're both doing it right now.
What the hell? What is making them
Like
do this? Did
I
he
don't
run
know.
over something? He must have ran over
Do you think
something
there's
that
like
was
a
supposed
soda
to be
machine
there.
in that?
I don't know what that means. Like, I don't think there's usually something like that
Oh, there's
there.
another
Like,
one. Like
what the fuck? I,
that's at
yeah,
least three NPCs walking up trying to get soda out of a soda machine. That's your car. And it's something similar to the roach thing. Apparently, if you call it, a lot of the bugs that I've been seeing have happened with motorcycles. So I don't know if motorcycles are more buggier than even cars. But this was another one. You'll call your motorcycle to you, and then it just starts like either
driving
leaving
away. Yeah.
or like spinning in circles, and you
Yeah,
have to like
when you
try
call
and
it, if you're so lucky if you call your car and is anywhere close to you and you don't have to run to it.
like,
This has happened to me. This has definitely happened to me. And then I look the other way and I call it again, so it starts coming towards me.
oh, does that actually work?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is that one. I think there's one further up that I was looking at. Is it this one?
That
No,
one's
it's not
definitely
this one.
happened to me. Because it
There's
tries to,
another one.
if it doesn't know how to reach you, it'll just start driving on the road in a random direction trying to get to you, and it'll just like keep going. It's
There was definitely one that I was looking at, but I can't find it. It was just it spinning in circles, and I was like, oh my god, like it was just like, like just like going crazy. Robo, he says, want to get famous? Come on, you know you wanna. No, no, we're good. No, I'm kidding, Robo. Are you getting a lot of those too? I get so many of those bots coming in saying you want to get like want to be famous or whatever. Also, what's up, Robo? What's up, Twisty? Welcome to the podcast. Talking about Cyberpunk. We're looking at clips right now though. What was this? I'm just gonna keep on watching some of these. If you got more to add, Corny, go for it.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think a little bit.
What is happening right now? Wait, is that a?
Oh, I've seen this happen to me today.
What is happening?
Something like this happened to me today. I was talking to a main character in a storyline, and then he went to go get in a car and drive away, but instead he just floated in the air and looked like he was driving. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna
What?
pretend that you drove away.
But why was the other person like underneath too?
I'm not sure. I haven't had that one exactly, but I had something similar where somebody was floating in the air like that.
Oh my god. So like these are common bugs.
Oh yeah,
Like
no,
crazy common
I'm.
bugs.
It's every like 10 minutes something like that will happen basically. If uh, in my experience.
I was trying to see like PS4 stuff, but honestly I think most of my clips on PS4, which I can just talk about rather than show, are basically just people doing simple tasks like pulling out a weapon or something, and then it comes up with a blue screen that says the game has crashed and check out
That's
PlayStation
just
Store or whatever.
PS4 also. I've been
Yeah.
playing God of War recently, and it's just like blue screen crashes like for no reason, like all the
Hmm.
time.
That was happening with
Uh,
Gran Turismo too earlier.
the
I was
PS4
trying to do it.
sucks. I will make that definitively clear. Like they have the best exclusives by
Hmm.
far. Like I love Bloodborne, and I like a lot of the exclusives they have, like Uncharted. But man, does the hardware suck? I hate the PS4.
Hmm. I agree. I
And I'll
definitely think.
probably I would still rather get a PS5 than Xbox Series X because there's actually a game that I would want to play on the PS5, which is Demon Souls.
Oh, I've seen this. The rubber trees. Okay,
I've
this is
never seen
definitely a clip
that.
that I've seen multiple times. Apparently, trees will just bend and they become rubber, but
See,
like
I'm
really bad
surprised even
rubber.
something like that would move at all. Like, what
I
is
think
that
it was
even
supposed to
happening there?
simulate like wind or something. Maybe they were trying to get foliage wind happening in the game. Does it ever
Yeah.
have like wind? Do you ever see like
I have
foliage
no
moving?
idea, honestly. There's not a lot of trees, in
Yeah, I
Night
know.
City,
'Cause it's
so
in a night city,
I'm
so.
not sure I've ever noticed that.
Because that to me, from a physics standpoint, like a physics engine standpoint, that looks to me like something with like wind. Like they were trying to add wind to
Yeah.
the foliage occasionally. Yeah, actually, you could see it on this one. So if you watch this tree, see how it's like
Mhm.
slightly moving a little bit? So they're trying to add slight wind, and all of a sudden the physics engine broke on this, and it just
Mm.
broke the tree.
Dude, that guy should have hopped on it and got like
He
sent
like
like a
taking a ride.
slingshot. Yeah, a
Yeah.
catapult.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, we could talk maybe a little bit about other unfinished games.
yeah.
Because
So.
the last big one I can remember, like I'm sure there's lots of them, but the last one I can remember was Fallout 76. Like just
Hmm.
being, I think that game's still busted. Honestly, you look at that game and you're like, oh my god, how is this like? It still looks like an early access game.
It really
It's
does.
kind of crazy. So
Uh,
that's why I'm so glad Doom Eternal didn't come out, something like that. Like, because they're technically owned by Bethesda, but they're id, so
The
it
one that
actually
I
does for
definitely
sure.
remember too, like, and I already brought it up, was definitely Anthem, but it wasn't. It was just wicked. It wasn't. I mean, it was wicked unfinished. It wasn't buggy, but it was just unfinished, and it had
There's
poor
like nothing to do,
path on
wasn't
it.
there?
Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
main problem
had
with
like
it.
no
It's just
content.
like, it was just really like poor in terms of content. Apparently there was big upsets with art styles happening because there was no like actual definitive path for the artist to take. So there's a clear deviation in some like places that you go where it goes from being like almost like sub-realistic, it's called, to like cartoony art style
Really?
because artists were taking separate paths away from what it was actually
Yeah,
supposed to
I
do.
hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty certain at this point, as far as I know, hasn't Anthem been like totally like dropped as a game?
Oh yeah, because I knew somebody who really liked playing that game, and they were like upset that it was ending. Well, the reason, I mean, oh yeah, I guess we haven't really talked about why it's happening
No, we
now
haven't.
more than it was before. The reason it's happening now more is because you can patch things after the
Hmm.
fact.
And that's exactly what this article talks about. It talks about because of something called the G. GAAS, which is games as a service,
Yep.
is the new
Games of
norm.
service. That's
Yep,
the worst phrasing. No, I'm
exactly.
saying that
But
like
it's
yeah, it's like
true.
the
Like
worst phrase in
that's
video games.
yep.
Yeah.
And basically what they're talking about is this model of like, hey, this game can be released, and it's like, I'm gonna put this in quotations. It's okay if it's unfinished because we'll just patch it later. Whereas previously, it all had to be based off of CDs, right? I mean, you get a disc or a cartridge, and if that game was crap, you were either returning it
Or you're
or
stuck with it.
you were stuck with it, right? But like that was it. Like, and if one person was like, this game's garbage, and then 100 people and thousands of people were like, this game's garbage, all of a sudden those people that hadn't bought it yet wouldn't buy it because there was no update for it. And so the companies were actually being kind of like slapped on the hand for doing a bad job, or slapped on the wrist is the saying, for doing a bad job, right? But like now, it's like there is no slap on the wrist because they could hand out a pile of crap. The players will find all the bugs and stuff, and sure, there might be some returns, but in a year from now, it could be completely fine and patched, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a good game now," and suddenly they get all their profit back, if not more.
Yeah. I just gotta say also, like, on top of it might even just like, bugs, there might not be enough content. There's been so many times where
Mm-hmm.
they will release like half a game
Wasn't that No
and they're
Man's
like, oh
Sky?
well yeah, exactly. Exactly like No Man's Sky. They promised so much content and none of it was there. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh we'll add it later. Like, well, it's supposed to be a complete game on release, not half a game that we are now like
Waiting
paying
for.
full price to now get the rest of, probably charged again for DLC to add the rest of the game to it.
That's the other thing. Exactly. A lot of times it almost feels like some games do it out of purpose because they're trying to get that money out of DLC later in the future. So they say, "Oh, we're gonna have all this stuff, right? We're gonna have fully customizable character and different story paths and all this other stuff and multiple game worlds, all this stuff, right? And it's huge scope, and you're like, whoa, this sounds like a fun game. And then you buy it, and half of that's missing. And all of a sudden they go, well, wait, yeah, you are gonna have this game and it will be complete, but you have to pay for the season pass, which has the next 3 DLCs in it,
Yeah.
and it's another $60, which is the full
Buy the
price of
first
another
season
game.
pass, and then buy the second season
Yeah,
pass, and buy the third
that's the
season
other thing.
pass, and by the time you get the third one, then the game's done.
Like, we could talk about Divinity 2 and how they did that, right? They were like, "Oh, you buy the season pass right now, you'll have the first 2 DLCs." And everybody's like, "All right, yeah,
What
okay."
game was it?
Like, whatever. Divinity Destiny, sorry.
Yeah, I
Destiny
was about to
2.
say Divinity is very
Divinity,
different.
yeah,
Divinity is a
Divinity is
very
completely
well made
different.
game that we
Yes.
like.
Yes. Destiny 2 was like, "Oh, if you buy the season pass with the game." Like, I bought it as a combo pack. Like,
Yeah.
it was like the DLC with the game, like full release. And it was
hmm
like, I don't know, like 75, let's say. I don't actually remember how much
Yeah,
it was, but
Destiny
I
was
was like,
really bare bones when it
whatever,
came out.
like, I'll do
Yeah.
that. Like, that way then I shouldn't have to do anything, right? But then all of a sudden, like, not even like 4 or 5 months later, they say, "Oh, well, we're coming out with like, what was it, Forsaken or something?"
Oh no, what happened is that they said that the first Destiny, you were gonna play the first Destiny for like 10 years. They just keep adding to it, and then a
Mm-hmm.
year, like 2 years later, they came out with Destiny
Oh yeah,
2,
I
and
forgot about that too.
everybody's like, "What the fuck? I thought you said we were just gonna play the first one. There wasn't gonna be no Destiny 2."
But Destiny 1 was really good, okay? Destiny 1 was good, and the
Uh,
Taken King made it better. I like Destiny 1 as a game. I thought it was decent.
if it had more content, I thought the gunplay was fine. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
like fun, but it was really had nothing to it besides like the raids, maybe, and that's about it. And then Destiny 2 is the exact same thing again,
Oh
like
yeah.
except
They didn't even
that's what
change
I hate.
anything really.
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's so that I can't believe people give Destiny 2 a pass. I haven't played the expansions. I only
Mm-mm.
played Destiny 2 when it came out. But man, is it the exact same game as Destiny 1? Like it's just like they added like 3 new powers for each of like the classes,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it, wasn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, as
And then
far as
and
I
then
know.
there's enemies now that they're and now that but now they're glowing or something like
Yeah,
some
I
stupid shit like
remember
that. I hate it when they do that. It's a new enemy type. He's got like guck all over him.
that. He's
Thanks.
covered in ooze, and you're just like, yeah,
Yeah,
but isn't that
he looks
like,
exactly
hang
the
on,
same as all the other
let's do a
enemies, but you
side
gotta
by
hit him
side.
in.
Like,
Yeah. It's so oh
but I did
yeah, but
hear the two, the latest one and the one beforehand were actually like new enemies, like new enemies.
like I
But
said, that's
like,
like
you have to
3
pay for
expansion
this.
passes.
Yeah, like now you have to pay for all these,
Yeah.
and they're almost like full price. I think full price for those are like $30.
They want to raise it to 70, don't they, on retail games next
Yeah, I
generation?
did hear about that. New retail
Oh
games are gonna go to 70 or something. Like,
my god.
dude, I remember like poor kids of this generation, man. I remember being a kid and like saving up $20 to go get a video game. Like,
What? I don't remember
you don't
doing
remember
that.
that? I mean, I also
I
first
remember doing
system,
30 maybe.
my system was like a GameCube. So like
Yeah.
I would go to GameStop with like $20 and most of the games were like $20 or like 25. And
Yeah.
I was
But I
like getting
mean,
like
it's not so bad. It wouldn't. I think the conundrum is still the same as it was when we were kids, where you only have enough money to get like one game, and you just have to play that game for a long time,
mhm.
uh, usually. So I don't think it's really that much rougher on them because I would argue with now with multiplayer games you can get way more time out of than anything maybe we could have back in the day.
And free to play too. You
Yeah,
can't be
free to
free to
play.
play. I
You don't
mean,
even
I
gotta
think
play
Fortnite's the
Fortnite.
biggest, yeah.
They can play it. They don't gotta spend a dime technically.
Exactly.
So. But I gotta say,
Uh,
one anomaly on these like released before they were finished type games is Metal Gear Solid 5,
mhm.
because technically Metal Gear Solid 5 is not finished, because the story just ends. Because there's a big the Hideo Kojima had a big falling out with Konami, and they didn't let him finish the story. So the
Oh,
story just like
really?
ends, and you're like, oh really? That's it? Because he
Huh.
couldn't work on the game anymore. He left.
Huh. I never knew
But you
that.
can't. It's like the rest of you wouldn't have known that because the rest of the game is actually finished.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean, it's really
he
good.
wasn't able to finish the story itself. Like, and there's a lot of stuff in that game too. Like, that's why I would even hesitate at calling it an unfinished game. But technically, he never got to finish the story. Like, it just kind of ends.
Hmm. I feel like, but see, again, that's something that could be completely overlooked because of the fact that the rest of the game is so polished
Hmm.
that by the time you get to that point, you're just like, oh, well, that sucks, you know? But like, the game was still good. Like, people rave about that game. You know what I mean? Because it's polished. If Cyberpunk was like, see, I can't even say that because Cyberpunk's story is good. I was gonna say if Cyberpunk's story was polished, and it is. Like, I think Cyberpunk's story is like decently polished. I don't think it's like the most like deep storyline by any
No,
means. I think it's I wouldn't say it's surface level though. It's like somewhere in between.
it's pretty good.
Um,
It has its really good moments.
mhm.
Like, I'd say.
But it's not enough to hold up the game on its own because the problem with actually okay, so yeah, probably the best way to describe it. The problem with video games is it's not enough for there to be good story. You can have a really good story and the game will still feel really bad if the mechanics and other features of the playable character break you out of the story's immersion, right? But likewise, or flip side of that, if you have mechanics that are extremely polished and everything's really good, sometimes bits and pieces, and I'm going to say bits and pieces, not the full story, but bits and pieces of the story that like kind of seem surface level or not very polished can go overlooked. And I think that's something that you have to remember in game design is like story is important, but the way the character is immersed into that story is far more important than the story. However, the story should be like above surface level. If you have a surface level story that's 100% surface level and you have really clean mechanics, it may do okay, but it's not going to be good.
Well, I mean, I think you could have a video game with no story and have it be an amazing video game. Like, I think for
It's
example, I've
true,
been playing a lot of
actually.
Doom Eternal. Doom
Hmm.
Eternal has a story. If it was all completely ripped out of the game, I would still love that game and like say it's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, actually, that's
So
fair.
and like I think there's a lot of games where story is not required at all. To be a good game. But if your game is relying on the story, and much like Cyberpunk, it's a story-based game, then
Hmm.
obviously, if you're putting a lot of pressure on this aspect performing, then yeah, it's got to be up to snuff.
But it also
Uh,
has to have that immersion from the mechanics, and if you break
yeah,
that
yeah, I agree.
repeatedly, it's
That's
definitely going to
why
fall
that's
off.
why I think Witcher 3 does it so well because you feel like you're a
Hmm.
Witcher and what you're doing when you're fighting monsters and fulfilling contracts and tracking things down. Like you feel like a Witcher, and
Hmm.
therefore you can roleplay as a Witcher when you talk to people. It's like a natural step. You don't gotta ask the player that much to go from killing monsters to talking to people about killing monsters.
Hmm.
You know.
And it's something like the biggest takeaway too for video gamers is like you need to have a game that like when you walk away from it it's something that you're not only just boasting about, but you're also like, hey, did you do this yet, or did you do this? Right? You're like talking about it.
Yeah.
The only thing Cyberpunk's getting talked about right now is about how many bugs you're running into,
Hmm.
which isn't good. Like that's not good,
Unfortunate.
but it is. It's highly unfortunate. But like if you talk to someone about like say like we talked about Metal Gear Solid 5, and like I've talked to Corny here multiple times about that game, and he's like, dude, you could be like in a box, and then like there's like a lady on the box, and then like the guys are just like,
Like
ooh, like
the flexibility of that game is very, very impressive.
exactly. And so like it's being talked about in a positive manner despite the story just falling off at the end, which even I didn't even know about. Like I mean I
Yeah.
haven't really played the game all the way to finish, but
I think the only people who really probably cared about it were like the Metal Gear veterans that were
yeah.
following the story from the beginning. Like I hadn't. I was just in 5. Uh, but regardless of whether or not you're a fan of that series, it's still not a satisfying ending. Like literally, some guy shows up and steals something from your base and flies off. And like, we're gonna go here, and then you, like nothing, you can't follow him. So it's a little weird, but yeah, the flexibility again that it's just surrounded by a good game, so it just makes up for it.
Mhm. Exactly. Anthem was BioWare, by the way.
Yeah, but I think it was BioWare is owned by
I think it's
EA
EA.
now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's isn't it EA?
Also,
I
what
think
was
it is
it?
EA.
Another unfinished game was the Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh my
Remember when
god.
that came out?
Yeah, I didn't even play it. I didn't even like
That game
I
was
mean, I
so
wasn't a
scuffed.
big Mass
That thing
Effect
was
guy
completely
anyways, but
broken. I haven't
apparently
either. I played a little bit, but
EA is big on actually EA is definitely one of the bigger people for running into issues where they end up having an unreleased bad game. Because I'm
yeah.
even reading right now in this article
Oh
on The
yeah,
Point,
100%.
apparently Madden NFL 19 had multiple bugs.
Yeah.
Like, and
Those
that's
games
like
are
EA
they
is
get
like
worse and
thing.
worse every year, those games. It's
And
kind
like,
of impressive.
it's crazy though, because like EA's thing is sports. Like, that's where they gained their popularity from way back in the day. So the fact that they're failing at their like media that like they grew kind of I'm gonna call it grew up on is like really not good.
Yeah.
Like you can't rely on them for any other game at that point if they are failing at the one thing that they've been doing for so many
Yeah.
years.
And also, if it's a Madden game that's getting all buggy, the
Exactly.
game never changes year to year. How can it be
No, it's just
buggy?
new players and stuff. Like you would think they
Like,
would just rip the code out of something else and be like, okay, like that's kind of whenever I think of new Maddens or new NHL games, like it doesn't the game doesn't change. There's never been
no.
changes in football like rules in like years. So
Well,
like
just even the graphics engine it runs on is
yeah,
probably,
literally
you
all they're
know,
changing is like really in a
textures.
standpoint, it's textures, polish, and maybe adding in a couple new play patterns.
Yeah.
Like there's barely even a reason to do add new teams. I think maybe in 2019, I think there was a new team. I'm pretty certain there was a new
I have no
NFL team
idea.
in California that came up. I'm not a big football guy, so you guys would know better than me if you are. But I'm pretty certain there was a new team. But even then, that's just textures again. They're just changing the look of the shirts and adding new players. So they have to do new models, and I don't know. They probably could even like steal the old rigs from
No, and they definitely
animations.
can. Yeah.
Like,
That's why it's like when the game like that comes out so bugged. I remember another. I don't know. I don't think it's EA, but the WWE games recently. Those have
oh
come out
yes,
really broken. I think that's 2K Games, isn't it? I think that's who did that game.
was it really? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. 2K has not had the greatest history.
I'm actually looking up a list to see if I can find a list of like unfinished games or something like
Yeah,
that.
but that one came out really broken. I think what was it 2019 maybe. I think. Or it's like if people were glitching through the arena or the wall, like the the ropes were like wiggling and they're all the characters' limbs were wiggling. Pretty crazy looking.
You know, the other thing we could talk about is like betas, like games being in like early release or something, or like early
Yeah,
betas
well,
right out of the
that's always
gates,
tricky.
and like letting them last like forever. Like a game could be in beta for like 3 years, and then you're just sitting there like, is it full released yet? I know
Yeah.
Ark back in the day was like that for so
Isn't
long.
Tarkov like that right now?
Tarkov's like that for right now, but in some games it makes sense, and others it doesn't. Like Tarkov could be fully released right now, I kind of get why they're holding off. They want full release to be when it's actually fully released with like open world, which they haven't gotten to yet. But they also wanted to allow players to play it and like play test how the game works now before it goes open world. So I kind of get that. But it's also been out for like a really long time in beta, so it feels like really weird for it to be betaed.
Mhm.
So I don't know where like you draw the line on something like that. Like I know Ark was also the same way. Like Ark, the island was out as beta for like so many years, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're gonna go for the 1.0 patch, and everybody's like, so that means it's fully released, and they're like, yep, finally fully released, and it was like 3 years after it was like really in everybody's mind like released. So I don't know.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
wonder if
I
it's a
mean,
way for them to claim that it's like unfinished and then like start to put it to their finished
I
state.
think if you're charging like full price for a game, it should not be early access.
I
That's what I
agree.
say. You gotta give it like if you want to play it early, sure, but like don't charge full price to do it.
Like Tarkov right now is full price. Well, right now it's
Uh,
on sale for 25% off. But like paying like for the top tier, like $120 for a game that's apparently still in like beta.
yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't pay that for that. I did because I bought standard and I really enjoyed it. But like looking back on it, like if I just went off of the fact that it was a beta game, like if someone was like, "Hey, you should get like Escape from Tarkov. It's in beta, and like it's $120," and I knew nothing about the game or anything about it, never saw anybody play it or anything, I'd probably be like if I had no ability to go look into it either, like I would probably be like, "Nah, not. That sounds like crazy to go pay that much for a beta game," you know. But it's one of those times where you feel like, especially nowadays, where you can just look into a game and stuff like that and see like the actual content. Like I kind of researched Tarkov pretty extensively, and even then I bought standard before I went to EOD because I was like, oh, if I go standard, like at least then I'm saving some money, and if I don't like it or I hate it and it really does feel like in beta, I kind of save money. I also bought it while it was on sale as well, so I only played like 35 or whatever, which I felt was fair for something that had been out for like a year and a half and it was still in like beta. So I think you just have to like with games like that. Um, I feel like you just have to like feel it out, you know, and see where you think the game fits, right?
Yeah, it's just what you think is worth.
Exactly. It's all about what's worth.
Like
Because
some
we
people
even do
think
that.
I bet you there's a lot of people out there who think Cyberpunk's worth it right now.
Hmm.
Which you can't really disagree. I mean, you can
No, you
disagree
can't.
with them, but you can't say they're wrong. Like, is
No.
what's worth it to them?
It's everybody's opinion, you know. Everybody's
Yeah.
gonna have an opinion on a game, right?
Hmm.
We even do that for free to play games. I know me and Corny have, decided to buy certain things for certain games that were even free to play.
Yeah, we're playing Rogue Company.
Yeah, when we were doing Road Company, we played like I don't know, maybe 10 games, and we were like, this is worth it to buy like I think it was like what $20 or something, and you could buy like the pack
Yeah.
that gave you all the rogues and stuff, and we are like, let's do it, like because
Hmm.
for us, we had already gotten $20 worth of time out of the game, and we figured we'd get another certain amount of time out of the game,
Or
so
you know
paying
you're gonna
20
play it
bucks.
more
Yeah,
also.
or you're gonna play it more. So it was like worth it. So that's something that we do oftentimes with free to play games. But the same thing, you can use that same philosophy with something that's, in beta and is being released or like is gonna be released in the future or whatever. Like you just gotta sit there and say, okay, am I really gonna get this amount of hours out of something? Looking again back on Tarkov, the other day when we were streaming it, we looked at my hours that I had on it. I have 647 hours in Tarkov. I definitely feel like I got my $120 out of it, and I still am continually playing it.
You have 600 hours in
Yeah,
Tarkov. What the
exactly.
fuck? That's like more than I have in Dead by Daylight, and I've been playing that since like 2017.
I actually don't know how many hours I have in Dead by
That's
Daylight.
like ridiculous.
I mean, for granted, I also have 400 and something hours in Arc still, and it's still like my highest. Actually, Dead by Daylight might be cusping it. I can actually look
Yeah.
while we're talking here, but
I mean, yeah, with the whole like paying for stuff in free to play games, like I played TF2 for a very long time, so that's something I'm completely used to doing. Where it's like, oh, I'll buy like a key and open a crate for a
yeah,
cosmetic,
I did
because
in
this game's
Blacklight.
free, and I have played this game like at this point, I played TF2 for 1,500 hours.
Actually,
So
I also did it with League. I have way more money than I want to talk about in League.
yeah,
And that was like my first game.
You have a lot
Yeah.
in Apex also.
Apex also. Yep.
Yeah.
It's all about like, and you know, this is something that you can, toss up in the air about like whatever you take it as, but like, uh, actually we kind of talked about Dead by Daylight too. If certain things are like, I'm gonna put it in quotes, reasonably priced, $5 for a DLC or $5 for a skin or something like that, you can sit back and go, okay, well, I've been playing for X amount of hours today, $5 for that, and it looks cool, and I kind of want it. Yeah, seems worth it. You know what I mean? So, and then the next thing you know, another skin comes out a month later, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want that one. Or another DLC comes out, and you're like, oh, I want that. And it's another $5, and you're like, well, that month you know, I played for X amount of hours. It seems worth it. All of a sudden that's $10, $20, $100. And it starts adding up. But in the grand
That's how they
scheme of
get you.
things,
That's how they get you.
yeah, I mean it is how they get you,
Yeah.
but it also like it makes sense and it seems like viable with the games that you're doing because it's all about your playtime, right? Like you want like if you're not playing anything, like again, Ark has had an update with a new map. I haven't even bought the new map. I just haven't sunk any hours since the last time I played Ark in it. And I'm fine with the four maps that I have if I ever do go back to playing Ark. So like there's no point for me to like really go out and go buy like the next like season pass or the next game or whatever. I do know there's gonna be another Ark game that got released at the latest E3. It's gonna be Ark 2. So that could be interesting, and maybe I'll look into it or something. Um, I look at games based off of what I can also stream and what I feel like people would be interested in, and so that's another economic choice that I make based off of that. Um,
Yeah.
so it's all about what you plan to do with things. I feel like, and the same thing goes for Cyberpunk. I mean, that's the main focus of tonight, and we already talked about it. I mean, if you're the type of person and you're sitting there right now and you're going, oh, should I buy Cyberpunk right now? If you feel like you can get the worth out of it right now, despite the bugs, and you're pretty excited for it, you really want to do it, and you have the 60 bucks to put into it, by all means, go for it. I think you'll enjoy it. But I also recommend that after you play it right now, and if you play it to completion right now, that you also play it again 2-3 months from now after there's been couple updates and see if it's better, because I guarantee you'll probably have a better experience the second time around if you wait. So, again though, definitely go for it. And if you already have it and you've been waiting on it, definitely play it if that's something that interests you. Or if you're okay with waiting, there's nothing wrong with waiting. And if you don't want to look at spoilers, I know people always I hear this a lot, but people are always like, "Oh, how do you like not see spoilers on the internet?" You can find your way around it if you really want to.
Yeah.
But
I don't really have too much trouble with. I'm not a very social media based person though.
yeah, I'm
So.
not either. So if you're like the type of person that's on Facebook and you have people like posting about it, unfortunately, maybe I guess you are running into it. I'm not. Me and Corny are both not very social media prevalent. So we. I mean, I'm talking from my experience. I don't really run into a lot of spoilers unless I set myself up for them, like Twitch. Like I said, I already watched like a multitude of streams. Well, that's because I felt like it was important for me to do that to judge whether or not it was going to be worth it to stream it. That's something that I just do for the channel, and also I'm not really worried about spoilers and games that often, unless I was really like, it was really a game that I was gonna be like, oh, this is the game that I'm devoted to. You know what I mean? But I haven't really had a game like that in a very long time. Wait, can you? Okay, hang on. Back on Cyberpunk. If you're
Mhm.
swimming and you pop out of the water, you can actually like go into slow mo and like fly like as a dolphin.
I have not encountered that.
Okay, well, hang on. We'll
The only
put a
time I've been in
story.
the water is when I was driving and then I hit a rail and I got launched like thousands of feet into the water below. That's the only time I went swimming.
So this clip is called Dolphin Man, and he's literally jumping. I mean, that's like 3 feet in the air, and
That's pretty
it
fucking
goes
cool. I
into
don't
slow
mind
mo.
that one.
I like
That
it. I
one's
think it's kind of
awesome.
cool. There he goes again. Okay, this actually, at first I was like, because it definitely looks like a glitch the way it
It
like
is.
is happening, but like it actually like is
There's no way that's a
okay.
mechanic.
I don't mind it because it looks funny, but like at the same time, that's just like, oh my god. I'm just looking through Reddit right now, seeing what I can find. This is why I like this bike. Let's see what happens. I'm just curious. As we are. Oh, whoa! It's-
Yeah, whenever that's an interesting thing that happens. Whenever you call your vehicle, if it gets close to you, like you're right in front of it, it will slam on the brakes and go like flying it. It won't do that most of the time. It'll just kind of like the back wheel will lift up a little bit. It does that on
really?
cars also. It's just kind of
It just
strange.
like
It stops
stops
so
like
abruptly.
so hard. You would think they would
Yeah.
like I don't know how they would treat.
I'm telling you,
I
it does
guess when
that
it
with
gets
every
close,
vehicle
it
I've
should like
seen.
just slow down, right? Like you would
Yeah,
think
you would
as it
think.
starts to get close, it could like
I
slow
think it's so
down
it
a
doesn't
bit.
hit you because I've been hit by my own car before, calling it like that.
Next gen subway ride. All right, here we go. I'm sure this is gonna be good. I don't think I like 90% of the clips on Reddit have to be of glitches. Like, wait, what's happening?
He's just gonna walk out.
Wait. Oh my! I was expecting like a bigger glitch than that, but I guess that's just like talking
That's just
about
a
the
padding
AI. Yeah,
thing.
that's just like the AI being like mediocre.
Hell is all the cars?
I guess all the cars got stuck in like
No,
the
this guy
wall.
built it like a ladder. Look at what he's doing.
Oh, what the
This
hell?
is like a modded like he put those there.
Can you mod Cyberpunk right now?
I'm sure you can open up the developer
You
console and
think
just
so?
like yeah. It's not modding it, but like they can spawn stuff. I'm sure.
I give you one of my most iconic weapons. Oh my!
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
A
The,
finger gun.
the finger gun. Here goes. So the gun's just not showing up.
Yeah. It's holding a pistol.
Yeah, he's holding. He's holding. Oh, nice reload on the finger gun. Is the jumping normally this weird? Like I feel like it's
You
super
can get
floaty.
prosthetics that make you jump
Oh,
higher.
okay. So it's just
Yeah.
like okay.
I haven't gotten any of those yet. I think you have to have a certain attribute in body to get that.
Yeah. See, this is always happening. That I think that clip was talking about like interruptions in the game. That always happens. I've heard so many people talking about interruptions. Oh, this guy was about ready to get into. Oh, okay, wait, never mind. He's just repeatedly getting hit by cars right now. Like they can't actually get into his car.
Get up. Oh.
Oh my god. Like all he wanted to do like is get into his car right here, and then like, the first car hit him. Like it's interesting. There's so many cars. I mean, I guess that's like, is that really a glitch at that? No, well,
No, I
I
think
feel
that's
like they would.
functioning how it should be.
Although GTA, they normally swerve around you, don't they?
It depends.
Don't they normally try and like swerve around you if you're like
That is
jaywalking
something
or
I've
something like
noticed.
that?
Cars do not fucking stop in this
They
game.
just go.
Because there's a mission I was trying to do where it's like, oh, you could hijack this van and then like ride it into this secret base to like be hidden. But I didn't have a high enough stat to get into the van to hijack it. So I parked my motorcycle in front of it, not knowing that. But then it ran my motorcycle and then it threw off its pathing. So it just started driving into a wall repeatedly instead of going to the place it was supposed to. And
Really?
I could repeat that over and over because a new truck would come every once in a while because there's a story like aspect.
Oh my
So
god, that's
every new
crazy.
truck I could destroy their pathing and they would drive into a wall until a new one comes.
Oh my god. This clip was kind of funny.
Yeah, I
He's
saw
going
that. He
up to a
spawns.
car,
Yeah.
and it's just like the birth of a car. Like just there it is. Like, oh wait, is
Yeah,
that his
I've seen
car?
that happen before with a motorcycle. Because what happens is that they call in their car and it seems like it spawns inside a different one. And then you
Huh.
run up to it and then the game's like, oh shit, his car's supposed to be here. And then it just like flings, like, it starts to separate them.
On the good side, we are gonna look at this. This is just like to talk about the look of the game. I mean, this is
Yeah.
pretty fucking amazing. On the
Uh,
good side, I mean, that is a terrific. This is not like drawn or anything. This is actually in game. I mean, that's a
See,
good
this reminds me of like
representation
Blade
of it.
Runner. Like, this is cool as hell. Like,
Yeah.
the stuff you want to see.
When it works, it looks amazing and it feels amazing. When it doesn't, which is like the other 80% of the time, it breaks you right out of this. But this is like this is what we're talking about when we say the good. This is the good right here. I mean, this puts you. If I'm standing on top of this hill right now looking at that, I'm totally immersed. I'm like seeing the cars go by,
I
shit like
think this
that.
is a during a story section too, where you're looking at this view.
Really?
Like a lot of the views like this, they're like purposely set up,
Oh,
and you
really?
can tell why. Yeah,
This is another one too. I think that's from the actual like trailer photos though, isn't it?
I'm
That
not
looks
sure.
like staged because is there usually isn't that the
You can do
player
photo
area?
mode.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
looking at more. Even the interiors design of some of these places is really nice.
That's your apartment right there.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that certain things, certain
See, maybe
aspects of the
these
game.
are like pre-made skills because that guy's like using something there. I know you probably can't do that.
This is cool. This
And one of my
the other one's my favorite though because this one looks good, but the problem with it right off the bat that I can tell you if this was a moving picture would be the AI for the pathing for these NPCs would be
Mhm.
really breaking you out of the immersion. I feel like.
It's
You don't think
okay, I
so?
think. It depends, I think. It
Is it
really
like
just,
certain
luck of the
areas
draw.
that like they end up moving the same? Because I feel like they all end up moving the same and like following certain structured paths
I think it's
pretty.
just random whether or not they
Okay.
break or not. So, when they work like normally, they work fine.
So
Like,
if this was like a working shot right here, it would look good.
yeah.
And the off
One
chance
of
that
my
the AI breaks, which could potentially happen, it would break you out of this. But this is a good
Another
shot
I
again.
think another like spots like this that are really populated with a lot of people honestly work better because it's harder to notice if somebody's doing something weird when there's like a
Hmm.
bunch of them.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually, that's true. Especially this high up where they still look like small. It would be more like
mhm,
when you're close, right?
yeah. But one of my favorite locations I've gone to so far is that there's a mission where there's like a parade that's happening like kind of like skyscraper level, and there's like a bunch of walkways, and it's like there's this whole Japan like kind of like or yeah, like Chinese Japan like section of like these walkways that are going between skyscrapers and stuff, and they got like the red lanterns everywhere, and then there's a parade that goes through it, and it's like holographic like parade floats, and they look real. It is a really cool location. It's like one of the
Really?
main story missions.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's a lot of cool this locations to go to. I
And
would say
again,
driving around is not that fun though, honestly. Uh, it's kind of like meh.
I heard the
Is what I
driving's
found.
really not good. Like it feels
So
wicked slippery
on
no
a
matter what
motorcycle,
car
it
you're
feels a
in.
lot better. But like that clip that you're looking at right now, I have that like a car like that. That thing is so hard to control. It's so
Like look at how
slippery.
far he's drifting into a
Yeah,
turn.
exactly. Uh-huh.
You think they would
It
have
is,
added a little bit more handling to cars?
but the motorcycles feel really good. I think it really depends on what car it is. Like these faster sports cars really are slidey. You guys sleep in there.
Oh,
Leaving.
it's just gone. Oh my god. I wasn't expecting that. I was just using the clip for the like.
Also, just one more criticism of something that's not even a bug is they have like little there's a lot of good side quests, but they have like pretty much areas where there's just like some thugs hanging around, and you just gotta like shoot them. Like there'll be little blue marks on the map.
Hmm.
They'll be like, go shoot everybody here, and then, like that's it.
Aren't there a lot of quests like that? Like a lot of side
There's a
missions
lot
that are
of
like
those
that?
around, so like you don't have to do them. I don't really do that too many of them.
Oh, can we
But
talk? We didn't touch on this yet. Keanu Reeves,
uh,
not good, right? Or did
no,
you
he's
like
fine.
him? You think he's fine?
I mean, I
I
don't think he's
feel
a good
like
actor, but this role is perfect for him.
you think
Like,
so.
yeah,
Oh, I feel like
I
it
think
like
he's great in
falls
this role.
apart a
Like,
little bit.
yeah.
I don't know.
What?
I felt like whenever he popped in, it seemed so like structured and what he had to say that it wasn't like it didn't feel acted. It just felt like he was reading lines off of a paper, if that makes sense.
No, I think he's
You
fine.
think there's
Like,
more fluidity in what he's talking
that's
about?
yeah. It's just Keanu Reeves. Like, I don't think he's a great actor.
Oh, you
Like,
don't think
but I
so?
love him in stuff like Point Break. You
John
know, it's
Wick.
just like completely ridiculous. He's actually There's a couple points in Point Break where he says lines and they're just like really bad.
Come on, Speed is a great movie though. Speed's
Yeah.
classic.
But as far as like who he's
Stop
playing,
this
like
bus.
and how he's like selling that role, I think he's perfect.
Okay.
I honestly don't think it's a problem at all.
Because I
No.
know that's like a big point right now too as well. I've heard a lot of
People think
things
he's
on both
bad.
sides. Yeah, I've heard things on both sides on Keanu Reeves.
Again, like if you don't like his acting, then you probably won't like him. Like that's just the facts of it. But I think the character that he's portraying is really fits him well.
I remember initially watching this clip, there was like the whole epilepsy warning with the lights.
Yeah, because somebody who got a review copy was almost had a seizure playing the game.
Really?
I honestly like at that part, like after hearing that, you get a little like placebo effect. But after like looking at it the first time, I'm like, I'm just gonna close my eyes when they do that from now on. I'm not even joking. Whenever that happens, I'm like, I don't feel like getting flashbanged. I'm just gonna close my eyes. Like,
I think they
because
updated
then
it though. They fixed it, didn't they?
they added a warning at the beginning of the game. They didn't change it in any way though.
Wait, is this actually true? Prefab missing?
I just not put something in.
I guess they didn't. There's a picture here. He's even showing you where he found it on the map. It's like right here in the water. He shows you exactly where he found it. But there's
There's a
apparently like
completely missing
something there
asset.
and it's just prefab missing.
It's probably like, you think it's like supposed to be a fish or something.
I don't know. He said pure gold in the water, but I assume he's saying like it's
Yeah.
just like a dynamite glitch. Found what's beyond the black wall. Oh, what the fuck? Really?
You must have just phased through a wall and then fell
He
through the
fell
map.
through the ground. Look, there's like a
Yeah,
hole
I
in the
know, I know.
ground.
But to get to where he is at that point, he probably
Oh,
had
you
to
think
glitch
you
through the
had to
wall.
phase through a wall? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he probably
Either
glitched
that or it
himself
just
then
didn't load.
instead of
Maybe he
glitched.
didn't. It didn't really look like he had to.
That's what I mean. Like the way, like normally when you fall through the world after glitching through a wall, you can at least see like the wall. Well, there's no
Mhm.
wall up there.
Yeah,
There's a
maybe it
wall
just
on
didn't
this
load
side.
properly.
I don't think it loaded properly. What's it saying is beyond the black wall though?
I
Oh,
think
now it goes to
there's like a
Skyrim.
place in the game. Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. There is like this huge black wall you
Whoa.
pass through on when you're like web running at
How
one
is he
point.
moving this fast?
This guy's like bunny hopping or something. It looks like.
And he just has like super speed or something? Whoa.
Yeah. You can game if you can bunny hop correctly. I don't know if it works in this game, but in a lot of games, if you can bunny hop correctly, you can get infinite momentum.
Yeah, you gained so much speed. You're right.
Yeah.
That was something that used to happen in Apex, remember? I used to
A
Apex bunny
lot of
hop
games like
heal
that.
in
Yeah.
order to like continue momentum while healing at the same times.
Yeah.
That was another thing we can talk about is pop in. This game has horrible pop in. Even right here, you can see it. Something this close. Watch this ice cream cart just pop in somehow.
Yeah. I
Like
haven't
having
experienced it
things like
too much lately. It's still there. It's not as bad as it used to be though.
I
At
remember
least.
when you were driving around, there was a lot of pop in at the end of streets and stuff like that.
Oh,
Especially
did
if
your
they're
stream just
long.
crash? What happened? Why can't I see it? Oh no, it's fine. Stop for a second there. Weird.
Especially if they're like long. Whoa. Okay.
There goes his motorcycle.
And then it's back. It landed right where it's supposed to land the entire time. Wait, was that because it stopped?
I have
Like, did
no
it
idea.
hard stop or did it hit something? Oh,
No, I
no,
don't think it hard
it
stopped. I
just
think it just
freaked
hit
out.
something. Yeah.
No, it looks like it just hit nothing except for the
Yeah.
road. And then it just bounced uncontrollably and like and then it comes back to where it was supposed to land. Like oh man, they really need to fix that stuff. I haven't seen any clips though about the police. We do know it's a bug though, pretty
I
big
mean,
bug.
it's not a bug. They just didn't finish it.
Or
I
yeah,
could
it
show
says
you
it
it right now. Do
unfinished.
you want me to pull it up right now?
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you pull it up? We'll
And
put
I'll
it up
just
on screen.
Discord stream it. I don't know how
Yeah,
well that will look, but
yeah. Probably won't look great, but it'll probably
like,
do it justice for the game. No, I'm
yeah.
kidding.
Why can't I
Oh
play?
wait, this guy can't get on this ladder. By the way, he's like stuck in the water. There's one ladder here, and he can't reach it.
Oh damn.
They didn't make it far enough down, so like he's just bobbing,
Yeah.
and it won't give him like because he's not
Why
close
won't
enough
they even?
technically.
Won't
It's
even let me
interesting
start Cyberpunk right now, and I don't know why.
because they know we over here podcasting about it.
Yeah. It's like the play button was grayed out on
The
God.
character design is amazing. So this is a post talking about the character design. I gotta say, like the look, anything that's visual, again, looks amazing in this game. I mean, we'll look at this real quick if it ever loads on Reddit here. I mean, look at that. That's high quality. Although they do have this kind of wicked, overdone gloss to them, but I think it's to make them look like they're
This is
what
like where
modified.
that person is in front of like a kind of like a club, like a sex
Yeah.
club.
So you think they? Because she kind of looks plastic a little bit, doesn't she? Kind of have like
Yeah.
a plastic.
There's literally people inside of that are called dolls where they'll
Yep.
load like a preset into them for you to like have sex with them.
Yeah.
So because they'll know your
I
desires or
have seen
whatever.
that.
Yeah. So that's where that is. So maybe that's on purpose.
This is pretty good though. I mean, look at the fur on this and the textures on the jacket and stuff. I mean, that's pretty good.
Hmm.
Definitely the quality of stuff is very good. So, I don't know. I mean, when you look at stuff like that, you can't help but say the visual qualities of this game are pretty impressive.
Like,
Oh, hang on. The frame rate's taking like a giant
oh,
crap right now.
yeah.
Okay, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Okay, so I'm just gonna shoot this guy. There's no police around right here. Or okay.
What just happened?
Shot just didn't hit him.
Oh, it didn't register?
No.
Oh my god.
uh, here, let's I'm not gonna miss this time.
Hey, Granny. Oh,
There they are, up there.
wait, really? That's it?
Yep, yep. And then there's a guy behind me. There's one. See if more spawn.
What's this
The
overheat
guy
thing?
spawned right there.
Is someone hacking you?
Yeah, somebody was hacking me.
Oh. What the hell? So they just spawn in around you.
Yep. Uh huh.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's not very good. Um, but anyways, guys, yeah, I think we could wrap it up here. I think that was pretty good. This was episode 1 of the Junk Box, the Enigma and Corny. I think I think it was pretty good. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like talking.
Yeah, I think
Hey, next week we talk about horror.
yeah, we're gonna talk about horror next week. I think horror is gonna be a fun topic for sure.
Yeah.
So like I said, this will go up on YouTube. I do want to hopefully get up there. I am working with or working on Spotify as well as a possible venue for the podcast as well. But this is gonna be a weekly thing. So Tuesdays for now. As far as I know, Tuesdays for now is gonna be good for us. So
Yeah, sounds fine with me.
Tuesdays from 6 to 9 is the Junk Box. So catch us here. All right, guys. See you guys later. Peace out.